For this Sunday, we're going to be looking at our first reading, which is Isaiah. Isaiah is he's going to be singing a song about his friend's vineyard. In the vineyard, in this song, he's going to show many details, which is the vineyard has a hedge, it has a watchtower. In other words, it has absolutely everything a vineyard needs to be very successful. And so that's what we're hoping to have, is a very successful harvest. However, we find out that it doesn't produce grapes, it produces wild grapes. Now, so it failed. Right after this, God goes into a rant. He goes into this temper tantrum, and he say, "Well, whoa, why are you so angry, God? I mean, it's just a vineyard. I mean, gardens, that happens with gardens." But to find out, we really need to know why God is so angry at this failed garden. So let's take a look. Let's find out. So this vineyard is really, this song is a metaphor. It's an analogy. And the analogy is that the garden was failed because the Israelites didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't do their job. Let me give you an example. So like yesterday, I go out and I weeded my garden. I collected weeds in 7 Home Depot leaf bags. 7. That's like 50-gallon bags. You know the bags you find at Home Depot? I filled 7. I had that many weeds in the garden. Yeah, they took over the whole garden. You couldn't even see any flowers. So I had to go out there and take it. And that's what happened. Is I didn't take care of the garden, and that's what happens. You get weeds. And so it's exactly what happened in this vineyard. This vineyard had absolutely everything that it needed to be successful, but the Israelites didn't work it. They didn't go into the garden. They didn't produce the grapes that they were supposed to produce. So they failed in their job. So what exactly is Israel's job? What was their failure? Well, their failure is that they're supposed to be drawing all the nations to God. They're supposed to be showing God off to the world so that the world will see God. So let's play with the analogy just a little bit. So let's say, for instance, they did work in the garden and they produced this great they produced barrels of this very, 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 very rich wine. So now they invite the Assyrian president or the Assyrian emperor over for dinner in his entourage. So they're having this big banquet. And when you have a big banquet and you're going to be celebrating with a foreign government, you're not going to just hand him a bottle of beer. You're going to give them your best choice wine and your best garden. So that's what Israel will do. Is Israel will give them now this glass of really rich wine that they produced. So the emperor takes the wine and sips it. Goes, "Whoa, where did you get this wine?" And then the Israelites said, "Well, God gave it to us. God gave us everything we needed for this garden, and that's what we have, is a very, very rich garden." And so the Assyrian emperor is going to say, "Oh, I want to worship your God." So that's kind of the idea. What's going on here is that if Israel shows God to the world, then the world is going to want to worship one God, and that's not happening. That's not happening in the world because Israel is failing their job. Their job is to show God to the world. So how do you do that? Well, you trust God. You trust God in the most vulnerable, most difficult moments, that God is going to be watching over you. Remember the watchtower? That God watches you and he's going to be taking care of you. They don't do that. No, they don't trust God. They're making treaties with other countries. They're worshiping other gods. They're doing the things and they're not doing their job. So they're not producing great fruit that is going to be benefiting other people, benefiting other nations. So this is a powerful lesson for us. And we go this Sunday and we hear this vineyard song. We're now going to ask ourselves, am I doing my job? Am I doing my job? Am I showing God to the world? Am I showing God his kindness, his mercy, his compassion, his generosity? There's so many wonderful qualities and characteristics that God has, keeping promises, being holy. All the things that God is, that the people love those qualities of God, and we can shine them and show people God to the world. And then the world will be a better place. It's not a better place now because maybe we're not doing our job enough. So what this vineyard song tells us is that make sure that we get everything that we need to show God to the world. So let's get in there and work in the garden, do our job, and produce much fruit. Well, I hope this is helpful. I'll see you in the next video.